Against the backdrop of vibrant creative showcases and business matchmaking sessions, the African Continental Free Trade Area says connectivity remains the missing link in Africa's development story. Africa's 1.4 billion people are separated by more than borders. Outdated policies, expensive flights, and limited transport networks have restricted the movement of people, ideas, and goods.
We are not very well connected in Africa, so that's what we are looking for. You would prefer to have something that is made in America than something that is made in Africa. So that's part of the problem. So if we can change our mentality, if we can change the way we look at ourselves as Africans, I believe it will go a long way.
Despite the continent's size and growing population, Africa has too few airlines, too few routes, and limited aviation infrastructure, often pushing up the price of air travel, keeping tourists away. CEO of the Botswana Tourism Organization, Ketsumetse Setlang, says even when travelers can afford to fly, visa regimes remain restrictive. However, many countries are now creating policy for visa-free travel within Africa, a move that is welcomed.
Some of those barriers are access, particularly air access when you look at travel within Africa, where we do not have enough equipment, where we do not have enough machinery in terms of air travel. And the law of supply and demand coming into play, meaning because we have a few, then the cost of travel would be higher, obviously. And also issues of visas, where we, as African states, require visas from each other. But I must say my country is rethinking that and re-looking at that and looking at what we can do. I'll speak for my country. We are currently looking at how to restructure our visa requirements so that we allow more travelers into Botswana. We are also looking at inviting more airlines to fly into Botswana. I'm part of an arrangement in Botswana called the Botswana Air Access System or Committee, which seeks to invite airlines to fly into Botswana. And what we had discussed today as a panel from Africa, we spoke about what each country can do to ensure that we ease travel into our individual destinations. And that is where Africa is going. That is where Africa wants to go. We are being practical about it. We are being honest about what we can achieve, but we are also wanting to be ambitious about what we can.
Nigeria says tourism must be seen as an economic engine, not a luxury. The country's development authority says a sector that drives jobs, trade, hospitality, culture, and investment, particularly for the youth, cannot thrive if Africans can't move freely at an affordable cost.
Tourism is the life wire of African development. Whatever individual countries are doing, I think they need to rethink their priorities by focusing on tourism. Because that's the only way as a continent that we can match up to the global society. Now, one way we can make it happen is synergy. And by saying synergy, the only way we can move as tourism is by tourists moving from one country to another. That is the life wire of tourism. If there's no movement, there's no tourism.
Industry leaders say the price of travel is not only driven by market demand, but by governments and airlines that often operate in silos. In the meantime, travelers and businesses have been advised to plan strategically so as to not allow inhibiting factors to prevent inter-Africa travel.
These are governments that have to make those decisions. It's about taxes, it's about the airlines that have got commercial interests, and the two are not talking to each other. So that problem is here for some time. Although with the AFCTA, I'm sure that there will be some solution. But I can say it's not immediate. But my recommendation to every single person that want to trade on the continent, one important thing is about planning, because the connectivity, lack of connectivity, make it costly to travel.
For a continent rich in culture, wildlife, history, and music, Africa's tourism promise is undeniable. But unlocking that potential will require political will, modern infrastructure, and a mindset shift towards seamless African mobility. Creatives, entrepreneurs, and policymakers say the future of African tourism and African identity depends on breaking the borders that keep Africans apart. Prabashni Mudli, SABC News, Accra, Ghana.